Happy Monday, June 19th, 2023. Yes, it is Juneteenth, and it's the third commemoration as a federal holiday. I hope you go out and you remember and you celebrate freedom, which is every day, and help others become emancipated in their thinking, in their living, so that they will be able to become the people that they were destined to become. All right. This book, This is the Rope, a story from the Great Migration. And this is a National Book Award winner, Jacqueline Woodson, and illustrated by James Ransome. To make sure that we do not have the music overpowering, even though it's beautiful, we want to make sure that the words come through. All right. Oh, look at this landscape. Oh, remember yesterday we read Green on Green and the celebration of nature? Well, here's more. Oh my, look at this. This book is dedicated to the more than 6 million African Americans who left the unjust conditions of the South for a better life in the North from the early 1900s until the 1970s. My mother and grandmother were among them. I thank you for all your courage and for making a way out of no way. Yes. And as far as the illustrator, he said, in memory of Ilse de Graaf, who will always be remembered as silly and strong, with a get up and go spirit to fly, fly, fly. Oh, well, if we have time, we'll go back and read the author's note. Okay, let's dive in. Oh, isn't it beautiful so far? Oh, wow, look at this. Ooh. This is the rope my grandmother found beneath an old tree a long time ago back home in South Carolina. This is the rope my grandmother skipped under the shade of a sweet smelling pine. Simple things in life, and you see, she hanging up clothes. We used to do that. My mom hanging up sheets in the backyard. Oh my goodness, and bringing it inside. Sweet smell, fresh scent. You don't see that anymore. This is the rope of my grandfather, what he used to tie the few things they owned to the top of a car that drove my grandmother, who was a mother now, from South Carolina all the long way to a place called New York City. Isn't that beautiful? Baby. This is the rope my grandmother held tight to as my grandfather drove real slow past the people and big city buildings that seemed to go on and on. This is the rope my grandmother used to dry the sweet-smelling flowers she grew in small window boxes, reminding her of the flowers back home, where the land, she said, went on and on. Oh, that's why it's important. Remember the anatomy of a plant and a flower? Come on, let's get to some gardening. I know I'm going to do some today. Look at this. She got the ebony magazines. Oh, this reminds me of my grandmother's sink. Oh, this is precious. This is the rope my grandfather strung so that my mama's diapers could blow dry in the hot city breeze. Oh, and you better believe that their places were immaculate. Always clean, always pristine. And this is the rope my mama tied around a small ducky's neck, then pulled it along singing, quack, quack, quack. Simple things in life make a difference. This is the rope my mama held out to the girls on the block her new Brooklyn block, a home of their own that they finally owned. And Mama asked shyly, Anybody want to play? Nah, they had mean girls back then, huh? Look at those stairs. Oh my goodness. Come on, guys. There you go. This is the rope my mama first tripped on as she sang with her friends. Miss Lucy had a baby, him Tiny Tim. She named him Tiny Tim. I don't remember singing that double Dutch song. You remember those who would try to sabotage your jumping efforts, turning double-handed? Or what about reverse, turning backwards? Oh my goodness. They're doing flips? Oh my. This is a rope Mama's brothers took from her room for some crazy game that little boys play. Yeah. I remember my records. I think my first record, Star Bright Starlight, was that Stacey Lattisaw? And Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yeah, I had some of those. And my brother, my goodness, the collection he had. Oh, wow. Yep. Back then. Then some of my other first records. I think I had the Winans. I do remember, oh well, El DeBarge, Bonnie DeBarge. Yeah, I'm talking about some 80s flair. The beautiful window boxes, flowers. This is the rope my mama found again 10 years later when my grandfather said, we need a bit of rope to tie these things down inside this here car, like that rope we used to have from back home. Then he drove with my mama off to a college far away from the city. While up at that window, my grandmother waved. Isn't that wonderful? Leaving New York, going somewhere. Oh, look at this. Look at these milestones. Yes, marriage, love, going to the military, new birth, love, graduation, family reunion, pregnancy, birth, growth. This is the rope my mama placed on the piano around family photos. And me just a baby and then a bit bigger, already reaching for it. This is the rope my daddy used when he showed me the way to tie a sailor's knot 2 times around and pull it real tight. You want whatever you make or do in your life, my daddy said, to last. Yes. This is the rope my mama turned as she waved to my daddy and taught me to sing the Miss Lucy song out on our sidewalk right here in Brooklyn just last Friday night. Thinking about heritage. Oh, thinking about family. Look at this. This is the rope that held up the sign saying, we are all family at our picnic reunion in the big park up the street from our home. That's why we celebrate on a day like this. Our lineage, our legacy. This is a rope, threadbare and grain, that I traded with Grandma for a brand new one. Then I jumped a new jump. My name is Beatrice. I come from Brooklyn. As my family smiled proudly and the sun began setting, as Grandma held on to her rope from back home. Beautiful. In her long ago memory of a sweet smelling pine. Wonderful. So I think we can read the author's note right quick. My mother arrived in New York City in a bus in 1968. There she joined her sister Caroline, who left South Carolina 4 years earlier. In 1969, my Uncle Robert joined his older sisters in a small apartment they rented in the Brownsville section in Brooklyn. My mother had by then moved to a larger place in Bushwick section of Brooklyn. This area of Brooklyn, I would later learn, was settled by a group of Dutchmen, including Jan Francisco, who had once been enslaved but worked to buy his freedom. For many years, my mother would rent this apartment in Bushwick. Eventually, she would own the building. Hey! Like many African Americans migrating north during this period, my mother's dream was to one day own her own home. Between 1968 and 1970, my sister, brothers, and I traveled back and forth between South Carolina and New York. It wouldn't be until many years later that I learned we were part of a long history from the early 1900s until the mid-1970s. More than 6 million African Americans moved from rural South to northern cities. The cities included Chicago, Los Angeles, and of course, New York City. We came for better jobs, better treatment, better education, and better lives. This movement of blacks from the South to the North would become known as the Great Migration. Listen, I think this is high time for us to celebrate our lineage. I know I'm going to call some elder relatives and this Juneteenth and connect with that which really matters. And I tell you, you will see that you have way more than you think you have right now. You have a lineage of excellence and an ancestry of hope and joy and strength, and let's pass it on to the next generation. Have a great Juneteenth.